Hello, everybody, and welcome to another No Bull. I'm Alan Dietz. Glad to be here with you as we get ready for another great weekend of short track racing here around the country and on Ultra Broadcasting. This past weekend, of course, we had coverage at Mission Valley Super Oval out in Montana with the USA late models. And we were at Mobile International Speedway as the UARA Sportsman and UARA Crown Stocks came to town. Brandon Morris taking the win in the UARA Sportsman feature, and that was a great race, good turnout in all the divisions there. Pro late models had a good turnout and a great race as drivers. I think you'll start seeing more and more pro late model drivers at Mobile as they get ready for that big pro late model race coming up. 50,000 win on the end of October. Also, good to report. If you watched the coverage, you know there was a young girl that was injured when a Crown Stock went off the track towards turn 3. And she's doing well. Her mom has posted some updates on Facebook, and that is certainly good to see, and we're glad to see that. Big weekend coming up here on Ultra Broadcasting. We'll talk more about that as we go through, as racing will return to Florence Motor Speedway coming up on Saturday, and the Carbless 125 presented by Gandred Chevrolet. UARA Super Late Models back in action. Great field of drivers already entered for that race. Ty Majeski, Justin Mondyke, Michael Atwell, Darren Jackson, just some of the drivers entered for that race. Again, you'll be able to see it if you're a subscriber to Ultra Broadcasting. If not, go to ultrabroadcasting.com and make sure and get your subscription today, because there's more and more great short track racing that you'll be able to see on Ultra. We've got the Edwards Family Memorial Labor Day weekend, $12,000 to win for the Carolina Clash Super Late Models at Lakeview on the dirt. Lots of big races coming up throughout the season, so go to ultrabroadcasting.com. Another big story that came out this past weekend was the weekend for the Kvapil brothers. Of course, Carson Kvapil finally getting his first NASCAR Riley Auto Parts Series win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And then later that night, Caden Kvapil taking the win in the Hampton Heat 200. And joining us now, former NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion and very proud father, Travis Kvapil. And Travis, everybody's been talking about the weekend that the boys had. It couldn't have worked out any better for Carson's first win to come at Indy, but just for the whole thing to kind of play out the way it did with Caden winning too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if you could script it any better. What an amazing day that was. I knew, I think we all as a family knew, and I know Carson was pretty excited going into Indy that he was going to have a good car. Rodney's got a lot of experience. Rodney Childers at that type of at Indy, but that type of racing where it's a downforce package, but yet you're on a restrictor plate. I think Carson had a lot of confidence going into that race. They almost won the week before at Atlanta with a similar package. And he told me, I talked to him after practice. He said he knew right away he had a car that could contend for the win. So they were able to execute and get it all done, do all the right things, and make the right adjustments throughout the day and get that win. So that was awesome. That's a huge weight off of his shoulders. It seems like it's been a long time coming. A number of second place finishes and been close a few times, but finally they were able to get that all done. So super pumped for him. And when you're at that level with that team and those resources behind you, you're expected to win races. So there was a lot of pressure there. And, I'm excited for what the next dozen or so weeks are going to bring for him, because I think they're going to go on a tear.
So you guys were busy, getting Caden's car ready with practice and all that at Hampton. So were you able to see it as it happened? I mean, kind of set
Yeah,
that scene where you
yeah.
guys were at the end of the race at Indianapolis.
Yeah, I missed some of it. The beginning half or so, I didn't really pay much attention because we were getting Caden through tech and qualifying and that sort of stuff. And it happened to work out to where it was kind of like a little downtime at the track. They had the autograph session for the fans there, and I just kind of went off in the infield and found a hole by myself, and just kind of sat back and watched probably the last half the race, I suppose, on my phone. And I've said in one other interview, somebody was asking me about it. I said I just wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be around anybody. And too many times have we, you get into those closing laps or halfway through the race, and you're people around you are like, man, he's going to win this one. It's looking good, and
Yeah.
it's just a bigger letdown if you don't. So I just wanted to be by myself and listen to the spotter and watch the video and everything that was happening. And man, it was pretty cool. I was pretty special. It definitely had some of my emotions going as it did for Dale and Carson. So that was pretty exciting to see everybody that excited.
Does it, it's got to make you feel good, when you think about Dale Jr. and his reaction to
Yeah.
how he cares for your boys.
Right. Yeah, I know. I know he talked about it. Like he kind of has that those things feeling for like Josh Berry. He said on his podcast the other day how Josh is kind of family, and I think he feels the same way about Carson and probably even Caden and the Kvapil family. So what a special relationship. Obviously, Carson and Dale have built over the past 5 or 6 years now, and I think Dale knows how important it is for Carson to win. Dale probably spearheaded or led the charge or the initiative, I should say, to get Rodney over there over the off season and pair him up with Carson, knowing how important it would be for Carson to win races this year. So um, yeah, that's a special feeling when you see your car owner get emotional. What when your son wins a race, that just shows how much he's invested in the team and definitely invested in Carson and cares about his performance and his career.
The pressures of the business um and as the boys have progressed here, you know that that window of opportunity can get smaller and smaller. Um, is there anything that you've told them just about, you won the championship, you got the cup, and when you don't perform for
Yeah,
whatever reason, then they move on. I mean, is that something you've tried to make clear to them that yeah, this is all pretty cool and stuff, but
right.
it's a tough business.
For sure, and I've had that conversation with both boys that uh, anytime they made a move up the ladder, where last summer Dale and the junior motorsports team gave Caden an opportunity to fill in the late model or maybe it was 2 years ago, fill in on the late model side when Carson had to go do some Xfinity racing at the time. And, I remember telling him like, man, this could change your career right here. Just, instead of running my pro late model out of my shop, you might have an opportunity down the road to drive their late model stock full time. And I remember telling Carson the same thing when he had his first ARCA race or his first truck race. There's obviously you got to enjoy the moment and just go race and do your thing. But I remember telling him like, you understand, you come out of here with a good day, leading laps or running up front, you're gonna get, you could get noticed and some bigger opportunities could come out of that. So they know they know it's performance driven sport. They know you got to win races, and especially for Carson. If you look at him, they talk about all the wins that team has had this year and all the different drivers that had won. I mean, you're expected to win. And you're representing Bass Pro Shops and you got Rodney Childers on the box. I mean, the expectations are high. So they've been close a number of times. I think that he said that was his fifth, or he's had 5 second place finishes up to this point, and for him to finally seal it off was I know he's feeling super confident going forward. And man, with that bunch with Rodney going into the playoffs, I think they're going to make a hell of a run at it.
We were at Florence last year when they got to race against each other in the South Carolina
Mm.
400, and Caden got the win. This past weekend, obviously, you guys were able to go out there and win the Hampton Heat. Having never ran that race before, um, how did you guys approach the weekend, and why do you think it worked out the way it did?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few things definitely went our way. Obviously, there was two or three of the local guys that are favorites. They ran into problems with Butterbean and Connor Hall. I think those you would say those are probably your two favorites going into it. Then the 9 car and the 2 car. Some other guys had some issues along the race there, but how we approached it is, I look back at notes from the previous races there. Even I was pulling up Dale Jr.'s race there a couple years ago, looking at his setup and reading through their practice and what adjustments worked and didn't work. And then, we were just there a month or two ago with the Cars Tour. We ran through a number of changes that day, and I think we finished third in the Cars Tour race, so I knew we had something pretty close to start with. And then, like I do every race, I go to the track, with kind of what we had success in the past, but then I always have a handful of things I want to try to develop the car into finding more speed. So, um, another big thing I think too was we had Lee Pulliam driving the second car. Obviously, Lee's got a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge about these cars and these tracks, and there was things that him and Brian and that 8 car group tried that seemed to work for them. And instead of me having to make take the time and practice, they could do those changes, and it worked for if it worked for them, I knew it would work for us. So having a teammate was a big deal. And man, Caden just does such a good job throughout practice with his feedback. Really solid, giving me the information of what he needs, and we just have really good communication, and an understanding of, okay, if you're tight, do you need a track bar adjustment, or are you thinking like a spring change? And he understands and has the feel of what does what, and it always helps me point the car in the right direction.
Well, I know there was a picture this week of both of the boys working on the late model. Um, you had the family pro late model, super late model that they came up through at first Carson and then Caden.
Mhm.
But that was always separate from anything that was going on at Junior Motorsports.
Yeah.
Is that still there? And when did you get more involved on the Junior Motorsports side?
Yeah, that's still there. We still have, I have my own. I actually have 2 pro late model cars, that I own. Archie St. Hilaire has a super late model and a late model stock that we house at my shop. So all that's there, and we got a couple, 2 or 3 Millbridge carts still sitting there that the boys run once in a while, or they have other drivers drive them. So we got a shop full of stuff, and like you talked about the Florence 400. Carson ran second. That was a car that was prepared out of my shop that Archie St. Hilaire owns. Really, when Carson drove the late model stock for Junior Motorsports in 22, 23, and 24, I was busy taking Caden racing, and Carson kind of just did the late model stuff with the JRM guys and Brian Schaefer over here, and I kind of stayed out of it. Obviously, if there was weekends that I wasn't with Caden, I would tag along and try to help, but for the most part, I really didn't get super involved with the late model team until Caden came over here on a more regular basis. And how that kind of worked out is if you remember last year, Connor Hall was driving the car full time, and Caden probably ran 5 to 10 races. They didn't really want to hire a crew chief to come in and just run 5 or 10 races. So they I guess they said they trusted me, and believed that I could do it. Obviously, I had a lot of straight rail car experience with the pros and supers, but I'd never really worked on the late model stocks. But I was confident going in with the big notebooks they have, and you can look back on. And obviously, Brian's here; you can always lean on him. So, really, the last couple seasons, I've been pretty much a full-time volunteer over here at the JRM Late Model Shop, and it's just been a blast to be able to do this with Caden week in and week out.
Well, I've got two boys, and it makes me look at things differently now. And I think back to when they were running beginner bandits at the
Yeah,
Concord quarter mile, and I'm like, God, that
yeah,
doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But anybody I've talked to, you and your wife have done a great job with those boys. They are good boys, and I hope my sons turn out as good as
yeah.
they have. They're really good guys.
Well, I appreciate that. Uh, I guess you give a lot of credit to our parents, right? Jen and my parents, and we've always had that Midwestern, work ethic and Midwestern friendliness. Treat people how you want to be treated, and I've always told the boys from day one, if work hard and be prepared, and when that opportunity knocks, you can capitalize on it. So I'm super proud of what the boys have done, and their work ethic and their drive to succeed. So, and more than anything, I'm really grateful for the car owners and everybody that supported them over the years. Obviously, driving for Dale, Kelly, and LW right now, they're in a tremendous spot and great people around them. But I think back to Tom and TJ Keene at Corvette Parts and LKN Mechanical. There's I've had some of these sponsors that have helped us for years and years and years. And when like you said, when the
Yeah,
boys were running the quarter mile at Concord Speedway, these
yeah.
sponsors were on the cars. So it's fun to climb the ladder together with them. They always told me they wanted to just kind of continue the ride with us, and now we're all the way to the O'Reilly series. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, again, congratulations. I know a lot of folks were glad to see Carson get that first win and just everything work out the way it did for you guys. So,
Yeah.
continue good luck this season, and we'll keep watching.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.
If you love grassroots racing, Ultra Broadcasting is for you. From the UARA and the biggest short track races in the country to the best of the Carolinas, from Florence and Anderson to Southern National and Carteret County. Plus, Alabama's Mobile International Speedway and the Big Five Super Late Models at Montana's Mission Valley Super Oval, and exclusive original programming. To catch it all, subscribe to ultrabroadcasting.com today.
You're not just any do-it-yourselfer. You use inspiration to bring projects to life. And just when a project seems too large, you head to your local Sunbelt Rentals. There, you'll find the latest in tools and equipment to make your next job your easiest project ever. Plus, they even deliver to your job site. Sunbelt Rentals, taking DIY projects to an all-new level.
I'm John.
And I'm Ben.
And we're the Kubota Tractor Guys. Kubota means quality and nationwide rates highest in customer satisfaction.
Discover Kubota's durability you can count on with a 6-year powertrain warranty.
Big Sky Kubota stocks a large selection of tractors and implements.
Stop in and see our wide selection of mowers, excavators, and RTVs.
Big Sky Kubota's service techs can help you get the most of your Kubota.
Big Sky Kubota. Remember, think orange.
Premier American Patriotic Fraternal Charitable Organization.
I bet you didn't know. The Elks are fueling the future of youth racing. Join us at the Elks, supporting young drivers and giving new life to our mission. On the track and in your community, we're building future leaders. We are shining a spotlight on the values that make the Elks great. By showcasing our commitment to future leaders, we're making it easier than ever to see how great it is to be an elk.
Visit discoverelks.org today.
Well, we talked a lot about it. The UARA National Super Late Models getting back in action this weekend, Saturday night at Golden Sands Speedway for the Carbless 125. And joining us now, this year's Slinger Nationals winner, it's Casey Johnson. And have you gotten used to that yet?
No, it's going to take a little time, I think, but it sure sounds nice.
Well, tell me a little bit before we look forward, just about the year and how Slinger played out, because I know it's a race you've been trying to win for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the year, we've been running really good all year. I mean, we're pretty much top 5 all the time, but haven't been racking up the wins that I'd been hoping to get. But, we've been right there for a lot of them. And coming into Slinger, we've had fast cars up there all year. We've been qualifying really well. We ran good in the ASA race, but that race there, we probably had a top 5 car at best, and then attrition just kind of took its toll, and we found ourselves starting on the front row there for a late race restart. And honestly, Carson, he gave me the high side, and I wasn't really expecting that. And once I saw that, I was pretty confident we'd be able to get a good restart and get the job done.
And that wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a non-Wisconsin guy come in there with a shot to win, and it seems like in those moments where the home field advantage kind of plays to you guys' favor.
Yeah, I think it really did. I'm pretty sure 90% of the field would took the high side on that late race restart there. So, I would definitely say I was shocked when he went low there.
So, well, first off, I want to ask you about this too. I know there were some really rough tornadoes that went through that area a couple of days ago. I know Tom Majeski has donated any of his apparel to anybody that would need it. How well in proximity, where is that from you in Golden Sands where that happened?
So for me in Golden Sands, we're actually fine, but the Chase Motorsports Super Late Model that I'll actually be running in the Dixieland 250 next Tuesday, it went that tornado went right through where that race shop is and missed it by a couple blocks. So the race shop there is currently out of power. Dennis Chase, where he works at Bergstrom Chevy, that's out of power. It went through there pretty rough, but thank God, from what I've heard, nobody's gotten any injuries or nobody's had any deaths there. So thank goodness for that, but it's definitely devastating to the community for sure.
No, it was a rough one for sure. You've kind of got a little bit of a speed weeks here. I know we talked and you said you weren't going to be able to make it to Slinger Sunday, but you got Golden Sands on Saturday, Slinger Sunday, and then the Dixieland 250 on Tuesday. That's a nice little middle of the year chance to go out and make a lot of money. Or spend a lot of money.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you can go either way. Probably the second one. But no, honestly, we're actually going to run Thursday up at WIR2. They have their weekly show there. So we'll be running Thursday, practice Friday at Golden Sands, race Saturday, and then we'd have the opportunity to run Slinger on Sunday, and then, race Tuesday again for the Dixieland 250. But honestly, up here in the Midwest, we can run them weekends together very often. We're super fortunate to have so many tracks up here that it's not unheard of to run 3 or 4 times a weekend up here.
Yeah, I know that, that was something that was pretty common around the country for a long time, and you don't see it much anymore, but you still see it, especially up there in Wisconsin. And you guys are really blessed with a lot of great racetracks and a lot of great racers. So Golden Sands, tell me a little bit about Golden Sands. I don't know a whole lot about it in relation to some of the other racetracks. How does it race typically?
Well, it's very hard on tires. So it's very low grip, but if you were to look at it, you're like, man, this is like a mini Slinger. It's super banked. There's no walls. Yeah. A mini Slinger, if you can believe that. Yeah. So it's still a quarter mile, but it's super banked. So I remember the first time I went there, I'm like, I thought if I could attack the corners, things like that, and I really can't. There's not much grip. You're eggshell on the throttle. It's a beautiful facility. It's a few hours from me, so I don't get up there too often. I actually haven't raced there myself in probably 3 years, so I'm looking forward to getting back up there.
You know, a lot of people have tried to figure out, you know, what the combination is for straight rails to make national or regional series work. You know, is it all built motors? Is it two barrels? Is it crate? You know, whatever it is. But it seems like you guys up in Wisconsin as a whole have kind of figured the formula out. Does it surprise you that you don't see more two barrel racing outside of that part of the country?
No, I mean, I don't know that. I think the best part of our formula up here that's working is it's still teams of fathers and sons racing together, just a couple of buddies. We haven't gotten into the whole the teams, you know, that got 20 shop employees working all week long. We're still able to do it at a level of fun, I guess you could say, where just you and your buddy racing together, and you don't got to pay a bunch of people and things like that. I think that's why we're kind of striving up here yet, for now at least.
Yeah, well, I think anytime you get around Charlotte, you're going to see a lot of money wrapped up in it, and
oh, sure,
that's just part of it. What's the rest of the season looking like for you once you get through the summer here?
Well, we got to finish up. We're currently leading Midwest Tour points again here, so we want to finish that up. We got the Alive for 5 series at the Dells that we try to compete in all the points there, and then I'm thinking we're looking at running the All American 400 that weekend, and then possibly doing another run at the Derby. So hopefully we'll just see how the kind of the end of the year stuff up here plays out, and see what our equipment looks like and what we can do. Well, wherever you go, I know you're going to be tough. You always are. Casey, I appreciate you joining us. Last thing, it's a pretty good field that I'm seeing right now. There's 21 cars I think are entered. Ty Majeski, Gabe Summers, Justin Mondock. I mean, there's some Michael Atwell's going up there. There's some strong guys coming up there on Saturday. Yeah, no, it'll be a great field. Probably one of the toughest ones I've seen at Golden Sands in years. So that's actually, I was kind of a late entry there, but I saw the big guns were coming, so I was like, well, let's give her a shot. So that's why we're going. That's actually the only track in the state of Wisconsin I haven't won at. So I'm going to try and knock that off here Saturday. Well, if there's any year you can do it, it might be this year. Again, congratulations on a great year so far, and we'll be watching Saturday. Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me as well.
Tax season giving you headaches? Meet SRQ Taxes, your tax pros in Sarasota ready to make taxes simple. Whether you're filing personal returns or business taxes, SRQ Taxes handles it with accuracy, speed, and care. Trusted by locals in Sarasota, these experts help save time and money. No stress, no guesswork. We can file taxes from anywhere and every state via a secure portal. Ready to take control of your taxes? Visit srqtaxes.com to book your appointment today. SRQ Taxes. Navigate your tax journey with confidence.
The best time of the year in Montana is here, and adventure won't wait. Now's the time to gear up and get out there. Whether it's the lake, the mountains, or off-the-grid back roads, Missoula Chevrolet has the lineup to take you there. Shop over 100 Chevy trucks, all with one low price, plain and simple, always. Their non-commissioned sales team is ready to help you find the perfect fit. No pressure, just the right truck for your next expedition. Stop by today at 3663 North Reserve Street in Missoula. Missoula Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Well, we want to thank all of our guests for joining us this afternoon here on No Bull. As always, remember, if you've got any questions, comments, guests you'd like to see on the show, you can find me on Facebook or on X at Real Alan Dietz. Ty Majeski as well. If you follow his pages, you can help out with some of that tornado relief in Wisconsin. They had, well, we talked about it, but those tornadoes that went through Wisconsin earlier this week, and you can check out his social pages to contribute and help out with that. As we mentioned earlier in the show, a couple of races on tap this weekend here on Ultra Broadcasting. Bell and Bell night at Florence Motor Speedway as Florence gets back in action. That'll be Saturday evening, as we said, and Florence has been off for about a month or so, so they'll be back in action. And a little bit later on, because Wisconsin's in the Central Time Zone, not a lot later, but the UARA National Super Late Models make their first trip to Golden Sands Speedway up in Wisconsin. That is going to be a big one. Great bunch of drivers entered there, and certainly looking forward to that. Before we go, I do want to say, send our condolences out to the family of Richard Brickhouse. And if you don't know who Richard Brickhouse is, he is most famous for winning the first NASCAR Cup Series race at Talladega back in 1969 when a lot of the drivers boycotted. He, I think it was Bill Ellis's Dodge, if I'm not mistaken, but I know it was a Dodge. It was a Dodge Charger. He got in and went on to take his only NASCAR Cup Series win, but bigger than that, from a short track standpoint, he raced for a long time in the Eastern Carolinas, primarily at Leland Speedway, which is up near Wilmington, but raced at all those coastal racetracks in North and South Carolina. Hoss Ellington, who was a longtime car owner in the NASCAR Cup Series, on the Hawaiian Tropic #1 that Donnie Allison made famous, but on other cars for a long time, was from up around that same area, and he was pretty close to Richard Brickhouse. But just want to send our condolences out to another one of those, I don't want to say forgotten heroes, but with everything that has gone on as the years have gone by, you might not have heard about Richard Brickhouse. Enter his name, it's unique. You'll probably find the Richard Brickhouse and read more about that first race at Talladega, the boycott and everything that went on around that race to make its mark in racing history for more than just being the first race at Talladega. Again, hope you can join us this weekend here on Ultra Broadcasting to catch Florence and Golden Sands. And we'll be right back here next week with another great episode of No Bull. So for all of us here with Ultra Broadcasting, again, thanks to our guest. I'm Alan Dietz. See you next time.